This is my point. I'm trying to establish to you that they have no problem lying to perpetuate their victimhood. He went ahead and said there was 40 beheaded babies. We saw babies in ovens. We saw a woman with a baby cut out of her stomach. Here's the key. Those lies were used to push for an aggressive military front against Gaza, because by the time the truth actually came out, it was too late and they already had boots on the ground and they were bombing the fuck out of Gaza. Okay. So those lies were directly used to conduct a genocide. My thing is this. If they could lie to us about a genocide that occurred in front of all of us at 1080p at 4K, you don't think they would lie about an event when there were no cameras?
Okay, so you say 6 million didn't die. How many do you think died in the Holocaust?
6 or 7?
Total?
Yeah, 6 or 7, man.
Okay, so if 6 million didn't die, then why did all of the Nazis say, yeah, we did it, we're not sorry, during the Nuremberg trials?
Yeah, well, those were basically a circus. A lot of the testimony was, you know, garnered through bullshit and coercion.
Garnered through what? They all died afterwards. It's not like they had anything to gain. They all got hung. It's not like they said that and then were let free. They said that and then got hung by the state.
You'd be surprised at how, you know, what you'll admit to when you're being tortured. You know what I mean? This is a big, it's a very real thing. This is why, you know, law enforcement agencies can't take informants and or prosecute cases where CIA individuals torture people, right? This is what got John Kirikow put in jail, essentially. But as far as that thing, look, all jokes aside, I'm not saying the Holocaust didn't happen. What I am saying is a lot of the things that we were told about World War II just don't make sense.
What?
And I think that there's nothing wrong with questioning it, investigating, looking into it, but for some odd reason, even looking into it is illegal in like 20 different countries.
But it was investigated and was looked into. That's why it's like one of the most documented events in human history. That's why it's such a strong... The reason there's such a strong consensus that it was around 6 million isn't because we're not investigating it. It's because we did investigate it, and that's what like all of the experts came to independently. And I don't think it should be illegal to question it, but it makes sense that questioning it at this point would be considered dumb because we've already reached a consensus.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think Israel committed a genocide in Gaza?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the interesting thing. We watched the genocide happen literally in 1080p 4K. People getting double tapped, kids blowing up, blood and guts everywhere, right? The Israeli government to this day says that it was not a genocide. They deny it wasn't a genocide. So
I don't believe in the Holocaust because the Israeli government tells me that it happened.
Let me finish my point. I'm trying to draw like a similarity here. So we all saw that a genocide happened in 1080p 4K over 2023, you know, into 2025 for almost 2 years, right? But the Israeli government denies it, says it's not a genocide. We didn't do any war crimes. We didn't starve them, blah, blah, blah. They're denying a genocide when we have irrefutable proof with video and testimony. You don't think that same group of people will lie about an event from the 1940s from which they derived their entire victim narrative from, that they use to prop up their victimhood, that they use to make a bunch of money in Hollywood, that they use anytime someone criticizes them and they say, oh, hey, the Holocaust, the blood libel. Like, if these people can lie to us and deny a genocide in 4K, what makes you think we should believe them when it comes to events in World War II, especially when there's a financial, political, and emotional stimuli for them to tell that story?
So you're saying this same group of people, which you mean Jewish people, I assume.
Yes.
But after World War II, it's not like we knew it was 6 million just because the Jewish people told us that. The Jewish people were dead. The reason we know it was 6 million is because of all of the other people that
told us. They were talking about 6 million way before the Holocaust. Way before that. That 6 number is extremely popular for them. And then look, I don't mean to be, you know, crude here, but there simply weren't enough ovens for the cookies. It just, no. Mathematically, it just doesn't work.
There were gas chambers, too. You're acting like... There were, first of all, not to be crude, but there were gas chambers, there were Jewish people that were shot. In Auschwitz, they didn't even use ovens. There wasn't a crematorium in Auschwitz, they just shot them.
Yeah, but that's what they claim. They got gassed and ovens and everything else like that, and the math just doesn't add up. And also, gassing 6 million people is, like...
Yeah, my bad.
That's number one, that's a counterproductive, costly, and stupid way to kill someone, or to do a mass extermination. That doesn't make sense. When you look at the camps, a lot of them didn't have remnants of the gas that they're talking about. A lot of it was Zyklon B, which was used to delouse. A lot of people died from typhus, not necessarily from, you know, being systematically killed. Like, there's just... I'll tell you this, because obviously this topic is very controversial, and obviously we're on fucking YouTube. So I'll say this. Look up the case of Ernest Zundel, okay? He went ahead and was passing out pamphlets on the Holocaust and questioning the official narrative. They arrested him for it. And what ended up happening was he went to trial and he brought in a bunch of different expert witnesses to defend his case, and that ended up showing a lot of the holes and inconsistencies with the official Holocaust narrative. They brought some of these survivors in, and a lot of them came in and said, oh yeah, I was selling a book, I was just using my imagination, So I question everything that comes from that side because they've lied so much. Here's another one. Do you remember when Israel said that they were burning babies and beheading babies after October 7th?
I believe that it happened.
You believe that happened?
No, I believe that they said that.
Oh, you believe it? Do you believe it now?
No, I believe that they said that. I'm not saying I believe that it happened.
Yeah, but you want to know the crazy part? That's not true.
Yeah,
So a guy named Yossi Landau, look him up, from the ZAC organization and these other organizations that they're the first responders when anytime something in Israel happens, because obviously there's Jewish religious rights to preserving the body and burying it as quickly as possible. He made all of it up and he admitted it.
Yeah, but that was
hold on.
Years after the Holocaust. That's a different event.
This is my point. I'm trying to establish to you that they have no problem lying to perpetuate their victimhood. He went ahead and said, oh, there was 40 beheaded babies. We saw babies in ovens. We saw a woman with a baby cut out of her stomach. Here's the key. Those lies were used to push for an aggressive military front against Gaza, because by the time the truth actually came out, it was too late and they already had boots on the ground and they were bombing the fuck out of Gaza. Okay. So those lies were directly used to conduct a genocide. So my thing is this. If they could lie about if they could lie to us about a genocide that occurred in front of all of us in 1080p and 4K, if they could lie to us about 40 beheaded babies in 1080p, you don't think they would lie about an event in World War II when there were no cameras?
But again, they weren't the ones who came to the 6 million number. It wasn't a bunch of
It was them. They've been reporting 6 million forever.
No, it wasn't just a bunch of.
And if you go to Auschwitz, they've been lowering the number.
They're not the ones that came to 6 million.
If you go to Auschwitz, they've been lowering the number every couple of years. It goes from 6 to 3 to 4 to 2.
No, with Auschwitz, the only changing of the number was that when the Soviet Union initially arrived at Auschwitz, they said it was 4 million. But then the United States and their Jewish institutions or whatever actually said, no, it wasn't 4 million. It was closer to I think 2 million is the number. So no,
so that's the problem. They're changing the numbers.
No, not they. It was the Soviet Union that said it was 4 million. The Soviet Union said it was 4 million. We changed it to 2 million because that was the correct number. And that was 80 years ago. It's not like it's lowered every 3 years. That's just not a few years. That's just not true. It was lowered once after the United States arrived at the camp and saw that the Soviet Union was lying about the initial numbers. It's not constantly getting lowered.
Here's the thing, bro.
You're just making that up.
We got to use a little bit of common sense. If they could lie to us in 1080p and 4K, they could lie about beheaded babies. What makes you think they wouldn't lie about an event that they derived their entire victimhood from?
Because using that logic of, if they can lie about this, then they can lie about
that.
You just lied about them lowering it every 2 years.
If you lose your credibility, you lose your credibility.
So by that logic, anything you're saying could be a lie, because you just lied that they lowered every few years.
They did.
And that's not true.
You just admitted
that's
it.
Not true.
Yeah, they did.
They lowered it once after the United States got to the camp.
So they lowered it.
No, they lowered it once. You say every few years implies multiple times up until now. It was lowered once after the United States initially arrived at the camp. So you just lied. And by your logic, if you can lie once...
They lowered the number. I told you they lowered the number.
No, you said they lowered it every few years.
This event is literally where they derive all of their victimhood from. So they have an extremely strong incentive to embellish it, to make it look a certain way. Also, I find it interesting how this is an illegal topic to talk about in 20 countries. So why is that? If it's so true and it's ironclad, why is it suppressed? Why is talking about this topic banned on every single social media platform? Why?
Okay,
why do people that talk about it get banned?
You say it's not allowed on every social media
platform. But they could deny genocide in 1080p.
No, okay, you're saying it's not allowed on any social media platform. You're popular because of social media. I don't understand this idea that social media is suppressing all of your ideas when that's how you became popular.
Mainstream platforms, YouTube, TikTok, etc. You can only talk about stuff like this on free speech platforms like Rumble. You can't talk about this topic on YouTube or any of these other Instagram, none of that.
Fresh and Fit is...
And there's a reason for that.
Fresh and Fit is still on YouTube.
Yes, but we've been demonetized for 3 years.
Well, yeah, it's obviously not advertised.
So that is censorship.
To talk about how
that is censorship, and we don't even talk about it on YouTube. So the point I'm trying to make is that there's certain topics that are taboo that you can't talk about. You could question that Gaza genocide all day, nobody cares, even though we have irrefutable proof it happened. But if we talk about this event from World War II and we say it's anything less than 6 million, it's a big problem. Again, keep in mind, I'm not saying it didn't happen. What I am saying, though, is that the 6 million number and all the facts and circumstances that they told us about this event simply don't line up. And I'm saying that we should be able to have a conversation about it without getting banned or put in jail in multiple different countries.
No,
That's my argument.
I don't think you should be put in jail. I mean,
That's my problem with it.
Private corporations like YouTube can do whatever they want unless you want like a state-controlled economy. You can't really stop them from banning people if they want to. But I don't think that people should be put in jail for it. I just think
But that's what I'm trying to explain to you. It's the most censored topic by far on the internet.
I mean, no, there are things that are more censored than that.
No, dude.
No, if you, like, for example, if you went online and said, I'm going to bomb the White House, that's more censored than saying,
okay, outside of like imminent violence and being a retard, of course, but I'm talking about like real discourse or a real topic. The Holocaust is at the top of the list that will get you banned every single time. It will get you banned.
That's because it's just misinformation because we have such a consensus that it happened.
Okay, we could go to the next person. I think I've presented quite a bit of evidence as to why questioning it is valid. No one's denying that it happened. It's just that 6 million is a kind of a ridiculous number.